Hey everyone, glad to see you again. No matter where you are in this huge world, I hope you're all having a great day. Let's talk about XRP. First, I need to say this. Crypto OG says to smoke XRP 4-digit forecasts, and this pretty much sums up the change in mood we're seeing right now. People have been strongly moving in the opposite way since Jake Claver said that XRP would reach $100 by the end of December. The new story is that XRP might reach $10, but don't expect it to go up to 3 or 4 figures. What's interesting is this, though. I've noticed that a lot of well-known people are still making big statements, even though retail sentiment is slowing down. It's not just some Twitter account sending out strange numbers. There are rumors going around all day about things like BlackRock buying up all the leftover XRP and driving the price of each token to $10,460. That kind of story is always around. A lot of people roll their eyes at those, and I get it. These, on the other hand, you don't see very often. XRP, it's taking place. Patrick Bet-David was honest when he said that XRP could hit $1,000 per token. He wasn't just saying that to get clicks. He was talking about how Ripple might be able to take over a huge part of Swift's business and maybe even completely replace Swift at some point. Most people think that if that were to happen, it wouldn't happen right away. A lot of experts say it will be around 2030. If it does happen, I think it will happen by 2028. But this is the most important thing. It's not like people like Patrick Bet-David say things like this for no reason. In an interview at the New York Stock Exchange, Dom Kwok, the founder of EZ, said that he thought XRP would hit $1,000 by 2030. It's the mainstream media. He talked about Ripple's licensing approach, how they've set themselves up around the world, and how they're already working with traditional banks. He talked about stable coins, Ripple's RLUSD, institutional adoption, and how they can be used in the real world to do things like settle trades faster and cheaper than old methods. Hey, let's go back to the story because it has more to tell. The name Brandon Biggs is also being talked about a lot right now. He's been around again because of the statements he made about Venezuela, BRICS, and financial pressure points around the world. He said that he had seen battleships around Venezuela and that it was more than just drug trade. According to him, the goal was to slow down the growth of the BRICS system and keep the US dollar strong, at least for a while. What does this have to do with XRP? Because XRP is based on the idea of cross-border payments, liquidity, and a global financial system that is always changing. If BRICS keeps growing, if sanctions force countries to look for other options, and if old systems like SWIFT stop working as well as they used to, then things that can move value quickly, cheaply, and on a large scale will become very valuable. This is the same Brandon Biggs who made it very clear that XRP would one day go from where it was to $10,000. We're not even close to being there yet, but many of his past statements have come true, which surprises a lot of people. He is called a prophet by some and an expert by others. You can choose what to believe. This is what I will say. When you look at all of Ripple's licenses, partnerships, the regulatory clarity they fought for, real-world use cases, and the growing dissatisfaction with the way things work in the financial world right now, it's harder to just ignore these long-term XRP predictions. But you also need to keep your feet on the ground. Predictions of prices are not promises. The market goes through cycles. Stories change. Feelings change very quickly, but usefulness doesn't go away. Building and tearing down infrastructure takes time. XRP is in a very strange spot right now. On the one hand, some say, be happy with $10. On the other hand, institutional voices, founders, and experts who focus on the big picture are talking about $1,000 and more over the next 10 years. That is a huge gap. And in the past, that way of being disconnected has generally meant one thing. This is the wrong time frame for most people. It's not about next week. It's not even about next year. It's about the direction of the world's financial system and which lines will be worth something in the end. Either XRP is getting way too much attention or people don't understand it at all. So that's why people will keep talking about it for a while longer. So is Brandon Biggs a prophet or someone who knows what's going on? You make the choice. Then there are these forecasts. The idea that the IMF has already decided how much XRP is worth. You can get this from Black Swan Capitalist. XRP's price should be thought of in terms of the world's debt, he says. He says that central banks have a reason to get rid of that debt, and blockchain is the way they've done it. Based on his study and confirmations, he says that the International Monetary Fund already agreed on a price for XRP before all of this integration began. He says that this was decided upon many years ago and that she learned about it from Linda P. Jones, who knows someone who works at the Central Bank of Australia, That person says the agreed upon price is several $1,000s. That's all there is to it. It is said that the price of XRP, which is in the thousands of dollars, has already been agreed upon. Now, on one end of the range, you have regular investors on X who are always making crazy predictions. On the other hand, some people say they have inside information and the price is already set. Then there's a man who many people call a prophet who says XRP will reach $10,000 one day. Patrick Bet-David is talking about $1,000 worth of XRP if Ripple gets a lot of Swift's business. The same thing is being looked at by Paul Barron right now. Let's go back to the question of why everything is coming together now. It looks like more and more people are beginning to see how the puzzle pieces fit together. Everything that's going on with Ripple and XRP is happening quickly, and it's getting harder and harder to tune it out. I watched Ripple rapidly grow outside of the United States in 2022 and 2023. They were building a huge train system around the world, and I kept telling them that XRP would go live on all of these rails one day, and when it did, the price would go through the roof. That being said, the US was behind at that time. The crypto world was being broken into. XRP was still being watched by the SEC case. There wasn't enough regulatory certainty. Institutions did nothing but wait on the sidelines. Take a look at where we are now. That case is over. XRP will never be thought of as a security again. That cloud has been taken away for good. In the United States, things are now beginning to move seriously. The Clarity Act is on its way, and everyone is ready for it. After each other, institutions are getting ready to buy ETFs to get exposure. Just that creates a sense of shortage. People also forget this part. Businesses are beginning to make XRP wallets. That's important. A yield is now possible for the first time ever for small investors to get on their XRP assets. That's a huge change. And once the institutions are fully in place, they will set up what are called risk-free passive income structures. Even if you don't agree with the term, more XRP will be stopped from moving. Less supply, demand stays the same or goes up. That's just basic math. On the other hand, banks are still trying private ledgers. It won't always be like that. Testing stops at some point and implementation starts. All of this is going on in the US, but look outside of it. Japan is a leader in innovation, and Ripple is well positioned to take over a large part, if not all, of Japan's banking system. The EU is also making progress, and Ripple is strongly rooted in that area. South Korea is getting stronger. I still think that Ripple will be very important in BRICS. When folks ask, how can XRP ever get to these prices? Maybe a better question is how it can't not work if it's being used. That's not all. Tokenization will become even more important in 2026. It's about moving trillions or even quadrillions of dollars worth of value. A cheap ticket doesn't move that much value. It does not work. The math doesn't make sense. There is no liquidity. Being efficient doesn't work. For this method to work on a large scale, XRP needs to be worth a lot more. Next, I agree with those who say we should pay attention to $10 XRP first. That's a reasonable goal. People said for years that XRP would never get to 2,000. I believe that the way people feel about XRP will change once it hits $10. When people see 2-digit XRP, they can easily imagine 3-digit XRP. And once it gets to 3 or 4 numbers, it stops sounding crazy. This is what makes XRP different from almost all other assets, though. This doesn't happen slowly if this is set in stone, and there is a real value attached to integrating into the new banking system. The event takes only a moment to happen. You wake up one day and the price of XRP is several hundred or $1,000. People in the XRP community have had that idea for years, and now you can see the switch being hooked up for the first time. The idea of a new banking system is no longer something far off in the future. It's being built right now. Digital is becoming more and more important. Laws are being made. Digital assets can now be stored and handled by banks. Rules are coming together to allow institutions to get involved. ETFs are on the way. Tokenization will happen soon. The rails for payments are already there. So it's not just idle talk when experts and long-term XRP holders talk about these price levels. It has to do with time, infrastructure, and usefulness. One thing is clear. The price has already been set, whether you agree with that or not. XRP is setting itself up to be at the center of a huge change in the way money works. You won't even know how much money you have at some point. And this is what he really means. XRP will keep growing, and it will become so useful that old ways of counting wealth will seem out of date. You are not going to keep changing XRP back into dollars to find out how much you are worth. Things will be that different, and the value will be that big. I still believe what I've always said. Things will be paid in XRP from now on. You're not going to ask, how much does this cost? You will ask, how many XRP? A house could cost 100 XRP, and a car could cost 10 XRP. And that sounds crazy to people today, but that's only because we're still thinking about things the way we do now. That's how things change if XRP becomes a key settlement asset in the world's banking system. This is what most people don't want to hear. A lot of small buyers will have sold their XRP long before that happens. They'll sell too early. They'll sell because they're bored. They'll sell because they're scared. They'll sell because they need to get something quickly. After the real shift, they'll just be watching from the sides. This could go on until around 2030 if things go the way many of us think they will. People think, great, I have to hold on to my XRP for 5 more years if I want to make real money, when they hear the year 2030. That's not at all what this means. Value doesn't just appear in 2030. Along the way, value grows. There will be a lot of new value added to the XRP system all through 2026. The growth doesn't stop. Ripple will keep going. The number of purchases will go up. More connections are going to happen. That worth will start to show up in the price of XRP. After that, you go to 2027. It keeps going on like this. Tokenization goes faster. Real-world goods worth trillions and trillions of dollars start to be added to the ledger. That makes the need for cash go up. That makes the price go up. This is what I'm telling you. You don't just sell something now and come back in 2030. Hold on to what you have now so you can keep getting stronger. You stay in one place and let the system build around you. People now talk a lot about taking out loans against your XRP instead of selling it. To be honest, borrowing against your XRP right now is one of the stupidest things you can do. You are risking going out of business. You're taking a risk by being forced to sell. You're taking a chance on the interest rate. You're taking on the risk of the other party. That is not a plan. That's hopium used to make money. And I agree with that opinion 100%. But now things are different. Rules are on the way. And organizations will build whole new structures for them when they get there. You will be able to make money with your XRP without taking any risks. You will be able to get cash without having to worry about bankruptcy. There are things you'll be able to do that you can't do now. We're not quite there yet, though. Everything will be different after those rules are put in place. And most people still don't get that. A lot of people still think that crypto will always be in this Wild West stage. It's not. That time period is coming to an end. It's going to end faster than most people think. All that needs to happen is for politicians to finally agree on the rules that are already being written and pass them. I am going to tell you this directly. I don't want to give up my crypto. I don't want to trade hard assets for things that are losing value over time. That's what the US dollar does too. Every year, its value goes down. People are rushing to sell assets that are going up in value just to sit on cash that is going down in value. You should have a plan before you cash out. Do something with that money right away. You'll blow through it if you don't. Then what takes place? You come back to this place after chasing the next big thing, but this time you have to pay more and have fewer choices. The real risk that most people don't see is this. 99% of crypto will be gone as soon as rules are put in place. Not right away, but in a way that works. Unsold projects, tokens that don't do anything, and hyped up coins that don't do anything will not be able to pass establishment standards. If you sell something now and plan to buy it back later, how many real choices do you have? At these prices, you won't be able to buy XRP. You'll be buying XRP worth tens of dollars. The same is true for other things that are used for something. If Black Swan Capitalist is right and XRP's price was set a long time ago, then it's very possible that XLM, XDC, QNT, and other assets in the infrastructure layer are also priced the same way. These aren't just any coins. The pipes for the next banking system are being put in. This is not advice about money. There is already a fourth economic revolution going on. It's not coming. It's right here. Also, do you really believe that the people who are making the system don't know what the price needs to be in order for it to work? They do, of course. To move the world's money, you don't buy cheap things. The math doesn't make sense. There is no liquidity. Things aren't stable. This is why the thought that XRP must be worth a lot more is not crazy. It makes sense. The main idea behind Black Swan Capitalist is good, even if they are wrong about some details. Without a high-value settlement product, it is not possible to move huge amounts of value quickly. Don't give up until that happens. Don't give up. Stay where you are.